Welcome back to the Midnight Gospel, where we fall asleep into dreaming of being there in our favorite Bible stories. Tonight, we begin with the story of the widow in the temple court, from the quiet verses in Mark chapter 12. These aren't sermons. They're stories retold slowly to help your body rest and your soul come home back to God. This video was made to help you drift to sleep while drawing near to something holy. Even if you fall asleep before the end, the story will keep walking with you. You don't have to listen closely. Just let it settle into your breath. The day opens quietly. Before anyone stirs, the light slips between the rooftops, just touching the temple's old stones. There's a coolness in the air. The dust hasn't yet begun to rise. In the corners of the courtyard, shadows stretch and linger like folded cloth at the end of a bed. A bird perches on the edge of a cracked basin. Its song is small and slow. The sound drifts across the empty square almost unnoticed. The city itself breathes out, steady and low, still wrapped in a bit of last night's peace. On the steps, I watch the first pair of sandals scuff past. Sand against stone. No hurry, just a gentle moving forward. Someone hums a few notes, not a song, just a habit. A gate opens heavy and wide. The metal yawns. Sun pours brighter, settling golden dust over everything. Inside a quiet home nearby, the widow wakes alone. She doesn't rush. She sits for a while by the wall, folding her hands in her lap. Her fingertips rest on the cloth of her dress. Her breath is soft, a quiet kind of prayer. Today, she stands and begins the same gentle work as always. First, the water jar, she lifts it, feeling its empty weight. She steps outside and follows a stony path, shaped by hundreds of feet before hers. Her sandals whisper over the earth. The jar swings slightly, not quite full, not quite empty. In the well courtyard, others gather. Some talk softly. Most just take their turn. She draws up the rope. It creaks with the motion. She fills her jar until it's heavy in her arms. Then back along the simple path through the hush of early morning. Inside, she folds linens. The fabric smells like sun. She shakes out yesterday's dust. Each fold lines up with the one before, smooth and neat. There's nothing special in the folding, but something inside her settles as she works. Outside, the city grows louder, but here, time holds its breath. Let this moment stretch. She tears a bit of bread from a flat round loaf, eats slowly, sits with it. The taste is plain but enough. The edges of her window glow and motes of dust drift lazily in the stripe of sunlight. Even in her silence, she's not alone. Somewhere a pot clinks, someone sweeps. The day is only just beginning. Even this silence is holy. I think sometimes about how the whole city wakes this way softly. No grand beginning, just small, ordinary things. Water, bread, the sound of someone folding laundry and nobody watching. The night listens with you. There's room for your breath here, for your hopes to settle, for your tired thoughts to rest. The steps know the feel of gentle feet early every morning. And God, He notices these quiet starts more than we do. Sometimes nothing happens, but tonight you can let that be enough. Just let it settle into your heartbeat and start again, as if it's all being seen quietly in the light. It is morning, but the sun climbs slow. Light drifts in through the cloth at the window, gentle as breath on water. Stone presses cool against my feet. I sweep crumbs into my palm. The room carries the hush of a place not yet disturbed by worry or work, Only the bowl set on the low table, the cup, the old wooden spoon. I sit. The flour is soft, softer than sand, lighter than ash. It settles in my hand. I run my finger through it, draw a line, erase it. The world is very quiet here. I pour a little water. Wait. Watch the thread of it ripple in the well of white. There is nothing urgent. No one hurries bread. With my hands I stir slow. The dough gathers, uneven at first, then smooth. My knuckles know the memory, pressing, turning, folding. Each breath is long. I let silence fill the room. I let it fill my body. Even the little sounds, a sigh, a soft scrape, a sparrow outside, move gently in the quiet. Each one is small but makes the morning real. I press the dough down. Pause. Let this moment stretch. Even this silence is holy. I pat the circle flat. My palms are dusted white. I turn the round bread with care as if it could bruise. The air smells like grain and clean earth after rain. The walls don't speak, but they hold me. Breath in, let it linger. Under the warm stone, the bread will bake, edges curling ever so slightly. The heat rises, but there is only calm here. I listen to the soft cracking, the waiting. Stillness sits with me, more faithful than hunger. No one calls, nothing rushes. There is space, quiet and open, around my slow work. I rub flour from my hands. It falls in tiny clouds. When the bread is done, I break it with a careful touch. The inside is tender, steaming just a little. I hold a piece near my lips. Wait, breathe. He asked for nothing, and still I feel full. No one notices this prayer, but it is heard. And in the calm that gathers by the hearth, God holds my small giving as if it matters. The morning feels smaller here, as the widow gathers her small bundle and steps out into the hush of stone and dust. Her sandals whisper against the path, one after another, steady and plain like the ticking of a tired heart. She carries bread wrapped in old cloth, an empty clay cup, 2 coins hidden safe in her palm. Nothing presses. She does not rush. There is stillness in everything she does down each narrow street. Every window is shuttered against the pale sun. The air is cool, not quite awake. Her steps are measured, slow, matching the rhythm of her breath. Sandal, stone, again and again. Dust curls lazily around her ankles with every small movement. Even the birds seem to hold their voices, waiting for the market to stretch and stir. Someone leans from a doorway but does not speak, only nods, half asleep. The old woman nods back. Her bundle is light, yet she holds it close, careful not to jostle the folded bread. Each step feels familiar, as if she might find herself looping these streets forever. Let this moment stretch in the quiet between footsteps. The city gently breathes. There is the soft scrape of a broom somewhere, a child murmuring through a dream above the courtyard. All the noises are low, tucked away like a silent blessing hanging above these streets. Her sandals shape each footfall in the dust, leaving marks that fade almost before she has passed by. Again and again, left, right, left, right. The market is not yet calling out. There are only hints, someone rolling up a worn mat, the tap of olive pits against a bowl. The world is half asleep with her, and her pace never hurries. She feels the quiet pressing on her back, a soft companion with every step. Stillness walks beside her. She does not look for God, but still He is there, listening in the pause between her movements. Even this silence is holy. The wind catches her skirt and tugs gently at its edge. She walks as one who is not expected anywhere quickly. There is no need to arrive soon. She lets the hush fill her, lets the path lead her, step after dusty step. The coins in her palm are warmed by her hand, small and ordinary. Small but seen. Every footfall ticks the morning forward, slow and true. Sandal stone, sandal stone. The old woman breathes out, and the market comes closer with each careful stride. She does not wonder if anyone watches, or if the world will remember her kindness. Each slow step is enough. The walk itself is seen and held. The night listens with you, and so the widow moves toward the place where her gift will rest, the day unfolding quietly before her, nothing hurried, nothing missed. Let the silence walk with you, let every step settle you into rest. The warm stone beneath the city gate holds the quiet of a morning after many mornings. There is a hush inside the shadows here, away from the bright swirl of the street. The sun is already climbing, but this patch of stone, just beneath the arch, remains cool and still. She sits close to the wall, legs tucked simple beneath her shawl, her hands folded, except when she picks at the seam of her sleeve, not waiting for anyone in particular, just letting her breath settle into the hush. Around her, life wanders easily by. A merchant, heavy baskets pressing into his palm, children carrying water jars that slosh once in a while, a splash marking the stone. Their voices are soft. Even the city's noise feels distant here, caught behind the thick walls and the wide arch. Every few heartbeats, the lap of sandals grows, then fades. A woman passes with a bundle. Two men talking softly about the price of figs, the temple in the distance, the sound of a dove somewhere above. No one notices the widow, but she is not hiding. The gate's shade welcomes all, without question. Let this moment stretch. The shadows are cool as a washed bowl, keeping the heat at bay just a little longer. There's not much to do. The coins she will give rest quietly in the pocket of her dress, a slight weight, meaning nothing to the world but known to her fingers. She rolls them now and then, just to be sure they're still there. A breeze noses through the gate and stirs the edge of her veil. The city smells faintly of cumin and stone. Far off, someone sweeps, the bristles sounding soft against the dust. Even this silence is holy. She hears the morning, then lets it pass through her. No one stops to stay, and she doesn't mind. She listens to the regular rhythm, the smallest things mattering for the space of a breath, then drifting away again. Let your own body rest a little deeper. Imagine the shade folding over your shoulders like a gentle hand. Quiet fills every corner, and time opens wide. No hurry, just what is. The sunlight at the far edge of the arch looks almost gold. Where she sits, the darkness is gentle, steady. Now and then, dust flickers in the beams. Nothing is remarkable, and yet somehow it is. The widow's eyes remain soft, looking out without needing to be seen. She has given what she can, her silence, her steadiness, her patient pause in the gate. God sees it all, even this. Let stillness settle in. Shade gathers your worries. The city goes on, but here, in the quiet, you are kept. The Lord knows the hush beneath every gate and calls it good. Midday arrives without announcement, just a change in light, a drifting hush creeping over the clay courtyards. The air is warm but not sharp, more like a heavy blanket draped across silent stones. A few voices echo faintly. Children's laughter is already smoothed by distance. Here, by the steps that lean towards the well, everything softens, Even the shadows soften, slipping down the wall. I watch her, the widow who wakes the courtyard only with the smallest sounds. Her steps are patient, jar hugging one hip. She never seems in a hurry, not even on days when sun presses harder. Around her, other shapes hover, waiting their turn. No one speaks loudly. The work of fetching water, it is always quiet. The way morning glances off the well's lip, the rope's gentle creak, all of it repeats, day after day. Water lifted, water lowered. Listen, the soft scrape of clay against sand. Her hands are steady. The jar's mouth barely trembles as she lowers the rope. There is a rhythm here, slow and without rush. She leans and unwinds, lets the jar down until the rope strains and the sound changes. The distant hush of water. A pause. Then the splash as the jar is swallowed up. A small clink, then ripples, then nothing for a long, long second. All the while someone else leans against a sun-warmed stone, blinking sleep from their eyes. Someone yawns and stretches. No one speaks. It is a kind of quiet everyone knows, as if words are too heavy in this blazing time of day. They wait with her, but also alone, together in silence, each pair of hands clutching a jar, a rope. She draws up the weight of water. The muscles in her arms tighten, then release. The rope shivers, a quiet thud as the jar clears the lip and rests against stone. The same sound, over and over, rope, water, jar, rope, water, jar. Each movement grows slower. The job is never new, yet there is a comfort in its sameness. It always goes this way. Water deep in the earth finds its way to light. She steadies the full jar by her feet, cool drops skimming her knuckles. Sometimes she brushes her thumb along the curve of fired clay. The sound is almost nothing, just texture and memory. The ground nearby is damp from 100 mornings. Let this moment stretch. Even this silence is holy. Every now and then a bird lands, then leaves. No need for stories. The world listens to itself. In this long-baked afternoon, the only real authority is the weight of water, the soft thudding of rope, the hush between each movement. Her hands remember, her knees steady. Even the smallest act is seen. She glances once, just past the crowd, squinting toward stillness. There is something there, not a miracle, just an ordinary peace. Like someone breathing slow beside you, a comfort that holds even when no one says a word. The jars are heavy, but she carries them easily. Always the same path, always the same sun overhead. Water drawn from the well over and over, meeting the quiet that wraps itself around tired hearts. Evening isn't far. For now this is enough. Let the weight of water lull you. Rope and jar, water in hands, again and again. The courtyard sleeps with you, the silence holds you, the night listens. She found a seat near the edge, away from the crowds at noon, on the lower stone steps, close to where people just pass by. The stone was cool under her, smoother than it looked, pressed by so many sandals over so many years. She set her folded shawl down, but sat first, letting her weight settle into the ancient quiet of the steps. There wasn't much to do. She watched, the gentle shuffle of feet, ankles in dust, the muted flash of someone's red hem, always too far to hear anyone's words. Sun pooled in patches between columns but left these steps in the shade. Here the coolness held in stone, in shaded air, in her own slow breath. She curled her toes, felt the hush move up through her heels. The shadows stretched one slow finger at a time across the pavement. Each time someone walked past, she saw only the hem of a tunic, once a dangling olive branch held by a child. Mostly she just watched. A man bent to tie his sandal, frowning. Another woman searched her satchel, pausing, then turning back toward the market. No one hurried. There was nowhere in particular to go, not on this side of the wall. Let this moment stretch. It was easy to let her own breathing match the rhythm, small, cool air in, then out again. No one noticed her sitting there, and she noticed no one in particular. Time thickened. She let herself lean against the stone, felt its subtle cold, grounding her deeper into the hush. A sheep somewhere out of sight bleated just once. That was all. The only other noise was a whisper of sandals on pebble, the nearest soft enough to be mistaken for wind. Even the sparrows, who scavenged crumbs from the offering boxes, were quiet now, some napping under the sun-warmed ledge. The city's brightness flowed around the temple walls. It never quite touched her here. The longer she sat, the heavier her eyelids felt, as if all the world's hush was drawing her into its slow, calm heart. Somewhere nearby, a child's giggle, the short, unexpected kind, not about anything at all, rose, then floated away. The rest was silence, the kind you can almost cup in your hand. Even this silence is holy. Let it hold you. The stone, the dusk, the simple passing of others. There was no lesson here. Just a woman waiting, breathing, feeling the steady pulse of her own body as the afternoon wore on. From here, you wouldn't see the altar or the crowds placing gifts. Just backs and elbows, the edges of lives going on. Sunlight caught on someone's picture as they crossed the court, a quick glint, then gone. The shadow moved another inch as she watched a line form for water. Gentle voices, just sounds, not words, rose from the group, floating up into the warm air and away. She wondered if any of them saw her, really saw, the woman in gray by the steps, not a part of any errand now. She didn't mind. It felt safe to wait, to be quiet, and to let time drift past in small, steady drops. The stone cooled her bones, the world moved gently on. Sometimes the gift is to be unnoticed. Sometimes the most ordinary seat is the softest place to rest. She let her eyes close for a moment, then opened them again to watch another pair of sandals, patched well, pass near without looking. The night listens with you. Every sound, cloth creasing, a distant door, a pebble skittering, was like a tiny lullaby for the patient. She could have counted each footfall, but she didn't. There was nothing urgent waiting. Even the temple bell, when it tolled just once, hardly broke the peace. She let the world keep moving. Her own hands lay still in her lap, palms up. All her work was done, at least for now. There was a kind of secret fullness in that, as if simply sitting, simply letting life thrum around her was enough. In the margins, at the edges, the softest things are seen. At least someone is there. No need to name him. No need to ask. Let yourself breathe here. She closed her eyes once more, sinking back into the stone and the shade. The air held a faint, sweet scent from the open courtyards, a little fig, something baking far off. It was almost nothing at all. Yet she felt it. The step under her carried her, steady and quiet, as everything drifted into near stillness. No prayer was spoken. None needed to be. The quiet was enough. Hands resting. Eyes half closed. One breath, then another. And a world, cool, slow, holy, turning softly around her until night would fall. Let yourself wait here too until sleep comes quietly and finds you on the stone steps, held at the edge of the temple, watching time pass safe, a small, faithful thing, seen and kept. Stone steps wait beside the shade. Lines of quiet people drift past, their sandals muted against the worn path. Near the ancient wall, sunlight lands on shoulders and moves in slow patterns. The air is wide here. You can hear your own breath if you listen, somewhere close. A trader counts figs in his hand, counting softly. 1, 2, 3, so low that it barely reaches the ears. Someone speaks about pickling olives for the winter, her words soft as sweeping dust. A boy laughs, but only a little, careful not to draw tired eyes. These voices are never loud, never sharp. They wander past like drowsy bees circling sweetness, then slip away into stillness. The widow sits on the cool step, her back warming under the sky. She hears the gentle trading of vegetables, a mother mentioning the price of flour, someone remembering a lost sandal or the market by the gate. But she is not required to answer. She is carried by the calm presence around her, held without being asked to join. The small noises blend into each other, a lullaby for the city's tired soul. Nothing needs to be solved. No one waits for her to speak. The words others share become gentle traces in the air. Each one rises, then lands softly. Every story is a comfort, even if she does not belong to it. She sits, hands folded, steady breaths as the court lives and rests beside her. Let this moment stretch, a burst of laughter comes, mild and almost shy, then fades back to simple talk about harvests and children. The clink of pottery, the hush of women counting coins, the faint pat of a broom across stone. It's the quiet work of the day, carrying no urgency. Even the merchant's bargains sound like bedtime humming, familiar, earthbound, undemanding. She listens, letting the conversations blanket her in softness. She is part of this gentle chorus, even in her silence. Each word drifts by, then settles onto the court like evening dust. Even this silence is holy on these steps. Even stories half told and exchanges unfinished are enough. No one tries to chase away the quiet. Small hands pass dates to another. Old men talk about journeys but save their energy. All the movement around her has found its hush. Yes, the world is busy and markets never sleep for long. But here, beside the offering box, under the calm shadow, the widow is both inside and outside these lives. Nothing is taken, nothing is demanded. She listens and is filled by the closeness of others. She is not overlooked by the Lord, even as she simply listens on the edge. The afternoon thins. Sunlight cools. In this cocoon of shared ordinary, God draws near at a pace so slow you might forget he is there. Still, the hush is watched, the hum is known. The quietest gift is seen, and the one giving it is held. The night listens with you. There's a still patch of earth where the olive trees open their arms. The branches are not heavy with fruit, but there is enough. Small olives, green and purple, scatter in the dust among dropped leaves and a single sun-warmed fig, soft in my palm. The air moves slowly here as if the day itself is catching its breath. I sit, barely making a sound, folds of my robe gathered in my lap. The stone beneath me is warm, holding the memory of the sun. My back settles against rough bark and I feel the ridges of the old tree. The shade above is broken and gentle, light sifts through in quiet shapes, painting the ground and my hands with patches of gold and cool. It is late afternoon. I trace the lines on the fig's skin, noticing how thin it is, almost delicate as it yields beneath my thumb. I break it open and the scent, sweet, near to honey but quieter, rises up. For a moment, I wonder if anyone would notice this small gift, this careful sharing with an open, waiting palm. There's no one nearby, just the whisper of wind, the flutter of a dove hidden deep in the green, and the olive leaves above me turning silver as they catch the light. The fig is soft and still cool inside. I taste it with no rush, just a slow pressing of flesh to tongue. It is not the fullness of a feast, only enough to remind me that sweetness exists, even in handfuls. Each bite settles something quiet in my chest. My breathing matches the hush around me. In slow and deeper, out as easy as water pooling between the roots. The moment stretches. Even the smallest flavors have weight. Even the silence is holy. The ground is uneven, a little gritty beneath my bare heel. I press what remains of the fruit into my palm and offer a piece to the old man beside me. He nods, accepts it with fingers browned by years in the fields. We do not speak. The sharing is wordless. He eats slowly, his eyes narrowing against the afternoon sun. The olive leaves above dangle and sway, caught in the softest wind. I watch their shimmer, green one side, almost white the other. One leaf settles onto my lap, no heavier than a sigh. In the far field, a child's laugh drifts close, then slips away again. I close my eyes, letting the shade deepen and listen to the gentle knot of my own breath. No one sees. No one keeps count. The fruit is shared in the silence and all feels held together. Here there is no rush. The cares of the day are somewhere else, farther than the outer wall, softer than the wind in these olive branches. Let this moment stretch. Even the sunlight seems to wait a while on the skin of my arm. I cannot tell if God is near, but I know this quiet. I know that even the smallest acts are seen by the one who watches sparrows and fills the world with morning. So I breathe again, slower, and the fruit tastes sweeter still. The sun is lower now. My body feels quieter, as though every part has picked up stillness from the ground. The olives glint on a little cloth at my feet, enough to eat today, and a few for the road home. The shade has shifted, cool gathering at my ankles. In this ordinary afternoon peace, I find I am no longer hungry. The night listens with you. Even this silence is holy. The linen is stacked in a small, neat pile near the window. Sunlight pools there, gentle and gold. My job is to fold each piece, one after another. There is no hurry. There is just the cloth, my hands, and the slow sweep of time cooling the stone floor. I press the first linen flat. The threads catch a little on my knuckles. I smooth my palm over it, feeling every bump and softness. That same crease, the same fold. My fingers remember the shape. They press the edge down, soft and steady, then fold the linen over again. The silence holds the room. I can hear my own breath, slow and even. Fold, press, smooth, again, fold, press, smooth. The others in the house are busy in different ways, carrying water, tending a pot, whispering something that floats away. I stay here folding linen, listening. It is quiet work, not watched over, not hurried, just needed, just done. Fold, press, smooth. The rhythm is small, almost nothing. Still, you can feel it inside your chest. The way time slows down when your hands are gentle. Every crease I press is like a prayer you don't say out loud. Just a hush, just a notice. No one needs to see. No one needs to praise or hurry this moment. Fold, press, smooth. Sometimes the room is just light and cloth and the sound of a dove outside. Sometimes it is only breath drawn in, let go. Again. The linen warms in my lap as the stack grows. There is comfort in the weight. There is blessing in the boredom. Let this moment stretch. Let your breath move with mine. Fold, press, smooth, fold, press, smooth. When I lift another piece, it still smells of sun. Every hem is different. Every soft edge remembers a different washing. The folds build, one upon another, creased with the same gentle hands for so many days. You can forget yourself, folding linen. All the cares are left outside in the courtyard, beside the pail and the sandals and the litter of the day's market. Here, the only thing to do is to finish. The only thing to do is to do each part quietly. Even this silence is holy. The night listens with you. The linen is folded. The work is good. The work is slow. Fold, press, smooth. And breathe, fold, press, smooth. And breathe. The holy things are small, sometimes just the work your fingers do when no one else is looking. Stone steps hold the cool from early morning. Every now and then, my heel brushes a patch that still feels like night, still cold, still patient. The crowd has thinned a little this afternoon. Sunlight has the look of being busy elsewhere. It slides across the courtyard in long strips, warming the dust, skipping the darker corners. Nearby, soft voices gather under the portico. Their words drift but do not land. Just a handful of teachers, talking low, weaving sentences that sound familiar but do not stay. The comfort is in the almost hearing. Letters and bits of thought stretch out across the stones, gentle and slow, like water under a door. A widow sits not far from me, but she is further from the voices, not hidden, only quiet at the edge. Her hands are folded in her lap, careful, as though holding a secret. She does not lean in. She lets her eyes rest on the patterned floor, tracing shapes. There is a steadiness to her waiting, a peaceful knowing that simply being near is enough. The world around seems to breathe with her, steady, small breaths, in and out, one after the other. Some birds hop close, pretending not to watch. The teacher's voices blur even more, words turning to soft shapes. If I tried to pick a meaning out of the air, I would lose it. So I stopped trying. I let the hush fill up the space between every breath. Sometimes I look up, seeing faces in the shade, heads bowed over scrolls. Sometimes I just watch the flecks of sunlight on the stone, not moving. First warm, then cool again as a cloud passes the sun. The widow never presses closer. She does not need to. She listens without catching meanings. There is no chase, just the rhythm, bodies, voices, shadows, silence. All of us present without expectation. Let this moment stretch. Let even the unspoken words belong here. The gentle emptiness feels like care. She does not shift, nor sigh, nor glance our way. She is content to listen, without gathering sense for herself. Maybe she is resting. Maybe she is praying, but no one sees her lips move. Maybe the space just holds her, safe at the edge. A gentle wind drifts in, lifting dust. A boy runs past, trailing laughter, too far away to interrupt, and nothing more. The sun leans lower. Even the quiet seems to soften. The widow's coins have long since settled, but she has not gone. No one moves her along. No one notices her choosing to stay a little longer, breathing temple air. The space grows bluer now, safer and still. We wait, we listen, not for the words but for the being here. This day needs nothing more, even this silence is holy. The night listens with you. The day gives up its last flicker, and dusk presses softly into the corners of the little room. Tonight is like every other. The bowl and the spoon and the jar on the shelf, nothing out of place. She folds a piece of linen with slow hands, corners mating, even though no one will see. Her steps don't hurry. There's no one to rush for. The lamp sits unlit. She pours oil into the clay mouth, watching the stream settle, light as the hush before sleep. The oil moves thick and golden, catching the scraps of sunlight the window leaves behind. Her shoulders loosen. Even this is prayer, though no one says it. Stirring the oil, the bowl resting steady in her hand, she lets the spoon turn gentle circles, round and around again. The sound is tiny, a quiet trickle, a whisper against clay. The scent is faint, soft, not sweet, almost nothing at all. It is enough. She sets the lamp near her bed. Tonight the wick will feed only a small flame, nothing grand. She watches it, eyes half closed, as if she could drift before her head finds the woven mat. The prayer almost slips out but stays inside, not aloud, just inside her breath. Keep watch with me, Lord, even now. A pause. She sits in the stillness, listening to the lamp's quiet hunger. Her hands fold the last cloth. Her eyes trace the slope of the moon outside, silver over stone, waiting for morning to rise again. No hurry, no lack. The room is full. She lets the silence stretch and settle, drawing sleep closer. Stillness holds me. The Lord knows my breath. I am not forgotten. God walks slowly. Too, grace is here. Every small thing matters. I am gathered in, safe and seen. And home, amen, amen, amen. Shadows are longer in the afternoon here, slipping across the stone, slow and patient, quieter than morning light. The steps underfoot are worn, gentle edges rounded by all who have passed, year after year. Each footfall makes its own soft sound, leather on stone, cloth swishing, quiet echoes that seem to hush themselves. It sounds almost like the breathing of the place itself, easy, undemanding, the way a lullaby becomes part of the air without anyone really singing it. Up ahead, there is the calling of a small brown bird, busy with something. She hops beneath a bench, finds an old crust, and picks and pecks with satisfaction. For a moment, she stands watching. Sunlight moves across her feet, the edges of her shawl. One or two children move through the courtyard, keeping to the edge, trailing their fingers along a low wall, trading secret smiles. Their voices are soft, as if this is a room that listens. A man sweeps in a corner, slow and careful. Bits of dust make small clouds in escaping rays of sun. He glances over as she passes. She gives him a nod and he keeps working. Each sound, a bristle on stone, a footstep, a faint child's giggle, rubs gently into the stillness, not breaking it, just softening it like water smoothing the day. She carries her coins in the palm of her hand. The metal feels cool, even in the warmth. She presses them together between her fingers, thinking about nothing in particular. That's what's special about this hour, the way it invites every thought to lay down and rest, just like the body. The world is not in a hurry. No one needs to be first. The smallest coin is just as steady as the largest footstep. Let this moment stretch. The cool of the shaded steps is familiar, a place she's paused before when her basket was heavy. She's not in a rush. She doesn't need to be noticed. No one here is waiting to carry her story away. Here, in the slanting quiet, everyone drifts at their own slow pace. She listens, just listens to all of it. The endless soft creak of sandals, the far cry of a seller packing up olives for the day, the hum of wings against stone. Sometimes the sun moves behind a cloud and the whole place breathes deeper. The shadows cool. The very earth feels at ease. Even the birds pause just for a breath. She lets her eyelids close for a second just to imagine what God sees from here. Nothing is wasted. Every step, every crumb, every whisper, it's all gathered up, all known. She opens her eyes. The world is unchanged, but the hush feels holier now. She stands, steadies her knees. The offering box is not far, but first, another slow, quiet step. The temple waits. The holy waits. She moves along the smooth, dust-warmed stone, letting the day be what it is, not more, not less. Her footsteps join the old music of the courtyard, each one quietly witnessed, each one fully enough. Even this silence is holy. Her sandals found their way across the temple stones, one flat foot after another, never hurrying, always landing just so. The stones were cool, smooth in some places, and worn thin in others by so many lives passing, all with their own stories, all with their quiet needs. Scrape, pause, a hush filled the morning. Even the doves in the shade seemed to wait, shifting softly, never quite breaking the silence. You could listen to her steps, and know she wasn't looking anywhere but at the ground in front of her, one patterned square at a time. Each sound floated, a gentle repeating echo, like a lullaby you hear in fragments while almost asleep. Scrape. There was a rhythm to it, soft leather brushing dust from stone. The temple was wide, sunlight sliding through pillars, but the only thing that mattered was that small sound, her coming closer, not for anyone else but because she always did. This was the path she knew. Her breath fell into the rhythm, too. In, out, she could feel the rise and fall, nothing forced, nothing grand, just life moving from one step to another like always. Scrape. You notice how time collects in these little movements. She did not count them, she just let her feet lead. Others hurried by, robes fluttering, coins clinking somewhere else, but her pace never broke. Scrape, pause. A young child stumbled once and she waited, one foot on stone, one suspended. Waiting is its own kind of walking. For a long minute it was only her steps and the song of sandals meeting stone, no words, only the measured repetition, the sound holding her gently in place. Like a cradle that rocks but never tips, keeping everything safe, even here on such ancient ground. Scrape. When she reached the shaded part near the offering box, she stopped and breathed again, filling her lungs with the slow coolness. The stones seemed to remember every footstep, every offering, every small act that no one else saw. If you listened closely, closer than a whisper, you could still hear the echoes of others who had stood here. Scrape, pause. The world stretched and softened beneath the routine, a holy kind of boredom. Nothing new happened and nothing needed to. Only the small, faithful crossing from one end of the court to the other. Her sandals rested at last. The old leather remembered every journey made, and the story moved forward on the strength of those soothing, humble steps. Scrape, like a lullaby, held quietly in stone. And so the night watches with you now, letting your own breath fall into the rhythm, scrape, scrape, scrape. Even the smallest steps are seen and heard. Let this rhythm cradle you, and let the stillness keep you safe. She sets the clay jar down, almost without a sound, its bottom settling onto wood. Her fingers let go. They move slow, careful, like she's not in a hurry. The jar is old, gray-brown, a little crooked, rough where the glaze wore off. It isn't shiny, just steady, sitting there, not asking for anything. If you look close, there's a tiny chip on the lip. Someone dropped it, maybe years ago. No one remembers who, but every morning it is there. Not special, not new. It holds nothing now, just empty air. Her hand touches the side. It's colder than the room, but only a little. The clay is dry and dull, not smooth, more sandy, with tiny dips and rises. Her palm rests on it for a breath longer than needed. Nobody is watching, but it feels good to pause. Sunlight finds the edge of the table. The jar's shadow is short at first, then stretches slowly. Almost nothing moves except the light. She waits, then breathes out. Even the air feels soft, like the day can't quite begin until she lifts her hand. There's space all around. Quiet fills the corners. Sometimes you notice the small things when nothing else is loud. She traces one finger along a wavy crack, not to fix it, just to feel. This isn't a moment of work or need, just being near something simple, something that stays. Let this moment stretch. She does not speak. The jar does not tell a story. Still together, their resting is enough. There's no rush, no chore at hand, just her hand against cool, rough clay, so plain you might forget it's there at all. A fly drones past, then leaves again. In the quiet, almost holy, nobody minds. Footsteps sound outside the door, but they do not come in. The table does not wobble. The house holds its breath. She leans in. For a second her cheek almost touches the rim, but not quite. Maybe she's listening. Or maybe she's just there, with nothing to do but stay. Even this silence is holy. The jar sits still. She leaves it there. That's all for now. It will be waiting tomorrow too. And God is patient with clay and with hands and with all the quiet days when nothing changes. The night listens with you. The sun is almost gone now. Just a line above the low roofs, painting soft, gold bars across the courtyard. The stones underfoot are cool and smooth, and my shadow stretches long by the well. There is a stillness in this hour that even the pigeons respect. They nestle closer beneath the eaves, feathers ruffling in tiny, undramatic gusts. A few broken olive leaves drift across the flagstones, just enough movement to say the day isn't quite finished, but the work is winding down. She stands by the wall, a basket at her feet. Thin cloths, clean, worn, smelling faintly of olive oil and soap, rest in a careful pile. Her hands fold each one in half, then in half again, then smooth them with a slow, practiced movement. It's not given to hurry. Folding is not about being done, but about being there to do it. I watch from the steps, my back pressed to the warm stone. My own chores are finished for today, at least. Sometimes my mind races at this hour, still tangled in the day's noise. But now, only the simple task of folding remains in the light. She breathes in, then out, the way someone does when they know no one is waiting for them to speak. There are voices from far-off streets, still faint and airy, like the end of a song you heard in the market, trailing home with you. The day's busy footsteps have faded. All that's left is the soft hush of fabric, the quiet clink of a coin in memory, the rhythm of her hands, and the slow drop of her breath. Let this moment stretch, as if time is folding too, growing quieter around the edges. Somewhere in the open court, the last bright coins given by the widow, her gift, rest in the depths of the box. But that's not tonight's story. Tonight is only quiet work, thin arms, low sun, and the barely there scent of laundered linen. A coolness brushes through the stone arches. She pauses, almost finishes, then starts again, smoothing out small creases that no one else would notice. There's nothing special in the folding except that she is the one doing it, and God is close enough to see it if he wants to. He does not rush her. He is not waiting for her to finish, or for the shadows to deepen, or for the birds to go silent. He simply is in the cool, restful dim. She looks up at the sky and it's already a dark blue, the kind that tricks your eyes, not quite night but certainly done with day. One more cloth is folded. Her fingers slow down, almost stopping, but the task is not a burden. It is a thread tying today to tomorrow, the same as yesterday. Yesterday was noisy, and tomorrow will have its own sound. For now, it's only this basket, this light, this hush. Let this stillness do the work. Some prayers are never spoken aloud. They are folded into routine, in the heartbeat under quiet jobs, in breath that slips through the lips without notice. Maybe her prayer is just the calmness in her chest right now. The courtyard is emptying, footsteps trailing away behind heavy doors. The echo of sandals is softer, all of us moving closer to home. I see a lamp being carried in the far hall, a small flame, bare and trembling. It glows on the pillars, chasing long, gentle shadows toward the ground, then lets them go. Even this silence is holy. Some days I have wished for thunder or for a word like fire. But tonight I only want to sit here, warm backed against the stones, and listen to the last quiet things. The stories that no one will write down because they're too ordinary. The folding of cloth at the edge of sleep. The slow, faithful closing of a day that ends just as quietly as it began. Her basket is full now. She stands, straightens her back, and gives the room a look, not to see what's left, but just to mark this moment. The sun leaves a silver fringe around her face, then sets completely. Long after the coins settle in the wooden box, long after footsteps and voices fade, God holds even the smallest things, even folding, even this breath, even you. It's time to breathe as she breathes, steady, slow, and soft enough to be the last sound the night hears. Let the shadows cover you like folded cloth. Let the hush of the courtyard gather around your heart. Your day can close this quietly, too, some afternoons. The stone steps of the temple grow warm, so you can sit without feeling the cold seep into your bones. The air sits quietly, too, no rush. Only the soft shuffle of distant sandals and the echo of a broom somewhere far off. You notice how the sunlight barely moves. It floats along the stones, not in a hurry, not stopped, just enough to brighten the edge of a folded robe or catch the metal of a lamp. Around you, strangers come and go, not in a crowd, just in twos and threes. Pilgrims with baskets, ragged travelers with sun-darkened arms, a pair of scholars moving slow with their voices low, letting their words drift quietly. Their presence is gentle, like the heat from a small fire, only felt when you remember to notice it. No one expects anything. No one interrupts. Some are tired. Some linger. Some look past everyone as if daydreaming. The air is full enough to keep you company, yet empty in the nicest way. Here, no one tries to fill every moment. Even the youngest child, bustling at her mother's side, settles into the hush without protest. In this place, busyness waits outside. The widow has found her spot. She isn't watched. She isn't hidden. Her skirt brushes the stone, careful not to let crumbs of bread scatter. No one asks for her story. No one leans close with questions. Her breath moves in and out, unhurried. In this small circle of silence she belongs, no proof needed. The steps don't judge her coins. The walls don't care about last week's tears. She is part of the day's slow drift. People cross in front of her, never in a way that blocks the sun or clouds the air. Someone with a woven basket pauses, gives a half smile, not for conversation but just to say, "You're seen." Near the broad columns, a man sits with his own quiet. He straightens his sandal and glances up, then settles back into his thoughts, sharing space by just being there. There's a rhythm here, barely felt but strong as breath. The scrape of a cup, the soft, bright clink of a distant coin, like a heartbeat, reminding you this moment is alive even if it's still. No one tries to rush what the day delivers. The presence of others makes the quiet cozier, never crowded, never alone. The widow folds her hands in her lap. She watches, letting her gaze rest on nothing special. The world goes on all around her, soft sandals, shuffling dust, voices blurring into background warmth. Her aloneness does not sting. It settles. No one asks for her to speak. She offers nothing but her plain presence. And somehow it is enough. She exists calmly among strangers. The dignity of silence tucks around her like a shawl. Close by, a young boy hums a tune to himself, filling the space without breaking it. Farther off, an older woman sighs loud enough to carry but not to disturb. You might think it strange to sit so near to lives that do not touch yours, to be surrounded by stories you'll never know. But here, the togetherness is soft. There's comfort in knowing everyone is held by the same stone, the same air, the same patient watchfulness. The rush of the city seems far off, smoothed away by the kindness of just being near, with no demands and no invitations. Sometimes a breeze lifts the edge of her scarf. She tightens it and closes her eyes just for a moment. It feels safe to rest here, seen but left in peace. The hush of the temple court is rich, not empty, not bursting, as if God himself likes to wander among the silent ones, never saying a word, just letting presence be its own kind of love. Let this moment stretch. Let the soft company of strangers be your warmth. Even this silence is holy. The night listens with you. Most evenings in the city, when the market has closed and only a few bread sellers linger, the temple courts are quieter than the world outside. Sounds seem to gather their coats and head home early, leaving the stone walkways and pillars resting in their own peace. Tonight, the air is just cool enough to notice against bare skin, with a softness that seems to hush even the birds overhead. It isn't empty, not really. There are always a few pairs of sandals brushing by, always a smattering of voices too gentle to name. But mostly it is quiet, holding every hush like folded linen waiting for morning. I sit on the steps, feeling their rough edge hold me steady. They are worn, but not in a dramatic way, just used, under thousands of feet from slower days I'll never remember. There is a scent of olive oil and wool nearby, and a little charcoal from someone putting out a lamp. These things settle in, making the moment heavy but safe. A woman comes closer, the one who walks quietly even when she has no need to. Her shadow comes before her, taller than she is, stretching from the edge of the courtyard and slipping softly over the stones. She moves as though careful not to wake the ground. Each step is a word unspoken. Ahead of her, the offering box waits, right where it always is. I notice it before she does, I think, or maybe at the same time, fixed there against the wall beneath the colonnade. I've seen it every day of my life, and yet somehow it feels different when the sun is low. The air thickens around it and the box waits in the calm. It is heavy and has always been. Carved from old wood, its corners are smoothed from the brushing of 1,000 hands, those like hers, those like mine, those belonging to people I'll never meet. The surface bears thin cracks, not enough to break it, just enough to say, I have waited here through many seasons. Once the grain of the wood was bright. Now it's dulled, a quiet brown-gray that matches the dusty stones. If I let my hand drift down from the step, I could touch it, and sometimes I want to, but tonight I only look. The box's lid is heavier than it appears. I've watched elders lean their palms against it, pressing gently as though greeting an old friend. Coins nestle inside it already, a small cluster, silver and copper, a few left by those who passed by in the gentler part of the day. The sun, nearly gone, skims the faces of the coins in thin light. One glints like a drop of water, and that is enough to notice. The woman steps slow when she nears the place. She is wrapped in her faded shawl, holding it close as if her shoulders need remembering. The cloth is patched, but it is clean. Her hands are empty and then not. One disappears into the small pouch at her hip, and she draws out 2 coins, small as seeds. No one rushes. Time, it seems, breathes more slowly here in this square of stone and shadow. Her feet settle quietly on the flagstones. She doesn't look around, and neither do I. The hush is thick enough that even our thoughts feel padded. All that is moving is the wind and the light shifting. She stands in front of the box for a moment longer than most. She isn't hurrying, just letting the moment fill her. Her chest rises, a shallow breath. I wonder if her heart is beating faster, but I only see her stillness. Sometimes the act of pausing is its own offering. The offering box does nothing. It simply rests steady, while the coins and hands come and go. It leans into this day just as it has into every day before, receiving what is given, revealing nothing. Her thumb rolls the coins together, letting them touch before they go. She seems to sigh without sound, a tiny wind through the hem of her sleeve. Then she sets the first coin down, and it is barely a noise at all, a small, soft clink, round and hollow, landing among its neighbors. The sound floats up to the wooden lid, and then it is gone. Let this moment stretch. She sets the second coin beside the first, not hurried, not ashamed. The metal touches metal, making a gentler note than you'd expect from gold or silver. There is tenderness in the sound, a hush that fills the corner where she stands. Even this silence is holy. She doesn't reach for anything more. She stands knowing she has nothing left, and yet still, everything that could have been given is here in the bowl of the box, in the shape of her small offering. She bows her head, not deeply, but enough for the moment to gather around her. The light, now nearly gone, brushes the lines of her face and her hands. The city outside is loud, but here, in this space, The walls hold the quiet in place. She stays a breath longer, and I let myself mirror her. No one hurried her. No one asked her to speak. The offering box, unchanged, waits for another day to begin. From my place on the steps, I see only this: a woman, a box, a dimming light, nothing more. Sometimes that is enough. Sometimes the waiting is the holiest part. I hear sandals scuff, another sleep-deep step on stone. I remember my own coins, my quiet prayers, the way small faithful things make a home wherever they're placed. The night listens with you, and even now, as the box receives the last of the day's offerings, there is rest. There is no lesson to gather, no instruction loud enough to break the dusk, just the hush and the sturdy waiting and the tiny clang of hope as soft as breath. He asked for nothing and still felt full. This was all. This was everything. The courtyard was still. The stones beneath my feet held the leftover warmth of late afternoon, just enough that, if you stood quietly, you could feel it rise through the soles of your sandals. A gentle reminder that the sun, though falling, had watched this place all day. There is a hush that settles before the gates close. Not sudden or sharp, but folding in, the way wool folds around shoulders at dusk. You sense it before you see it. The vendors grow slow, the voices quieted, an unsettled dove shifting under the eaves. I was only a part of the corner, not in anyone's way. From my place near the broad, worn steps, I watched the shapes of people drift and scatter. No one hurried any more, not at this hour. The day did not ask for it, not with the evening coming. She was there, wrapped in the soft folds of her robe, hands tucked where it was warmest, shoulders drawn not from cold but from carrying herself across another long day. No gold, no bracelets, nothing bright about her except maybe the small, calm space she carved in the air around her. She stood and she waited. Not frozen, just very still, like water left untouched at the bottom of an old clay jar. Her breath was small, in and slowly out. Again, waiting, listening. Not looking at anyone, not searching the sky, just being. Every now and then her fingers moved beneath the cloth. You could tell she was holding something small, something nearly lost in the dark. Above us, sunlight glanced off stone ledges. The dust in the air drifted green and gold, like soft crumbs from bread. Even the shadows felt gentle, as if they'd been folded carefully beside her for safekeeping. No one hurried her, no sharp words to move along. The guards watched too, but like people do when they cannot help and do not know how to say it, with eyes softer than mouths. There was space around her, a space made of pauses, of silent agreements that here, in this old place, enough time would be given, letting breath widen and the day stretch itself a little longer, just for her, just for this. The clatter from the market far beyond the wall was only a faint echo now. A boy's laugh bounced against the masonry and faded. Somewhere a cloak brushed the ground. Steps changed from hurried to patient, and dusk slouched through the arches. She did not move. Not yet, hands under her robe, still as offered bread. Sometimes a body can say everything it needs to in the way it waits. You can watch the fingers close, unclench, shift a hidden weight. You can watch the spine quietly square itself, like someone remembering a promise but not out loud. Pause here. Let the night grow deeper. Let the air thicken around the prayer that is not spoken. The hush felt thick, rich, almost like honey or warm oil. Not heavy, but comforting, something you could rest inside. Her eyes stayed low. Breath in, quiet, breath out, slower than the tick of a clock. She looked at her hands, or maybe through them, the way you do when you are between choices and neither is loud enough to pull you fast. Time in the temple stretched, each breath took a lifetime, and in those long, unnoticed moments nothing happened. Not the kind of nothing that means empty, but the nothing that holds everything gentle. Birds tucked themselves higher in the rafters. The scent of old olive oil, stone dust, linen, and wool, all soft around the edges. She waited, and so did everything around her. The steps, the stones, the sky, all held their breath so she could simply have this stillness. Her thumb rolled something small, probably coins, back and forth, back and forth. The rhythm was almost invisible, like water wearing smooth a stone. In this kind of waiting, you feel your whole life at once. Not one memory, all of them, blurred together, settling in your chest as warm as sleep after worry. The world outside wouldn't notice this pause, but inside the temple court it felt as if time itself pressed softly on her shoulders and said, "There, daughter. Breathe, you are seen." There was no hurry, not from God, not from anyone within earshot. Even the wind moved gently around the pillars now, as if not to disturb something sacred with a whisper. Some watchers blinked, shifting on their heels, unsure whether to keep standing. Some sat again, backs against cool stone, just to wait out what happened next. No one spoke. Let your own breath match hers if you'd like. In and out, slow enough to be mistaken for sleeping. Sacred pauses don't need to explain themselves. This quiet was allowed to be a whole world. Before the gift, the moment waited. Before the surrender, the self was carried in two gentle hands, secret and soft as a prayer. Night draped itself darker over the courtyard. The world quieted, still, waiting, just to see what a small, faithful life would do at the edge of giving. And maybe, in this hush, you notice that sometimes the waiting is the holiest part of all. Let this stillness settle inside you now. Let it round the corners of your day. Lay your worries down by the stone steps. Let the silence do the work. Just wait here for a while beside her. Nothing more is needed. Only breath and the hush that sees you, too. The morning began with the city slower than usual, dust drifting along old roads, sunlight not yet washed across the stone courtyard. I had been there, folding my basket back into shape by the steps, my hands busy only for the comfort it brought. Nothing urgent ever happened before noon. The shadows stretched long, hiding me against the cool wall. Sandals shushed quietly in the distance, then stopped. No one else was watching, not really. People were always coming and going, market voices humming beyond the temple walls, the scrape of small wooden carts. The temple court smelled of worn linen and olive oil. There was a kind of hush here, not the holy kind from a story or a psalm, but a hush that was just the ordinary pause before everyone remembered why they'd come. A woman moved slowly across the stones. Her dress swept dust into little clouds. She wasn't tall. Her shoulders bent forward so gently, almost as if she wished to disappear. I'd seen her before, though I never spoke to her. Most days she carried less than others. Time passes slowly here. The stone under me still felt cool, even as daylight crept closer. My thumb ran over a crack in the stair, a small memory of rain that had come and gone long ago. The offering box was wood, darker where hands had rested over years. Most coins fell in with a dozen eyes watching, but not today. It was just me, the steps, and her careful breath. She didn't draw attention. I only knew she was ready when her hand stopped fidgeting, a fist, then flat like she'd made some decision just for herself. Nobody called out. No one could see how her ribs moved in and out, slow and measured, heavier with each breath. She held two small coins, pressed together so tightly for a moment they could have been one. Her fingers uncurled as if they remembered their own weight, and she let the coins fall with a motion too simple to notice. No ceremony, just a soft, dull clink, quieter than sandals, quieter than breath. The coins settled into the box with no echo, not a sound above the hum of a city waking up. Most offerings landed like a splash, breaking whatever spell the morning made. Her coins didn't. They landed, sure, but it was different. It was the sound of something being seen, even if no one looked. I blinked and looked away. You can't stare at someone in a moment that gentle. The hush seemed to hold its breath for her, the open court almost listening. The air was so still you could nearly hear the dust shift. There was nothing to write down, nothing to tell. Another coin, another morning. The box hardly noticed the weight, but I did. My fingers lingered on the edge of the step, grounding myself as her shadow crossed just in front of me. She didn't stay. No pause, no sigh of relief, just another step, her sandals barely scuffing the stone as she moved away. A bird crossed above, pausing on the low wall. Somewhere, a mother hushed a restless child. I tried not to think about what the coins meant. They didn't mean more because they were small, or less from being so. It was just the shape they made landing together, a thud not meant for applause or praise. The moment didn't ask for anything. It just was. If anyone else noticed, they made no show of it. A priest shuffled papers. A merchant pinched sprigs of thyme in his palm. The world kept going, no shouts, no gasps. The temple stones hold so many stories, but most of them are just this: acts so small they disappear unless you're very still. I folded my cloth again, slower this time, letting each movement match the calm around me. The coins at the bottom of the box seemed to settle everything. Even my shoulders felt lighter watching her walk away. This isn't the sort of day that makes a picture for the wall. It's the kind that softens at the edges like bread left to rise too long. The ordinary air, the steps, her breath, they nearly echoed together. Her coins sat with all the others, indistinguishable in the pile. For a second I wondered if she cared. Maybe she knew, in her way, that the weight of the world wasn't always counted in handfuls. Some things belong to the silence. Some things stay small. The simple thunk of her offering, deeper than sound, resting with me long after she was gone. I didn't tell anyone. I wouldn't know what words to use. She gave what she had with no headline, no voice lifted in thanks or sorrow. The steps warmed under my legs. Sunlight reached the hem of my robe. All around, the sleepy day moved forward, unimpressed and unchanged. Still, I remember the sound. I'll let it settle here, tucked into the dull rhythm of an old stone morning. Let the hush hold it a while, quieter than any prayer I could make. Sometimes the holiest things are so quiet you can only tell they happened because the air feels softer after. You don't have to listen closely. Let the hush and the slow clink of coins be enough. Even here, on a morning like any other, someone saw and someone was seen. No one cheered when it happened. There was no burst of sound, no voices calling. The stones didn't shift. The people who were near didn't stop what they were doing. Their footsteps kept on, slow and patient. Sometimes I think the sound barely made it, a soft clink, swallowed up by the hush of the temple air. Just two coins smaller than a fingernail falling down together. That's all. Not a fortune. Not enough to change the day, not for most. But even as it happened, everything seemed to give a little pause. A slow drawing in, held almost too long, like when a breeze gathers behind a wall, waiting and then doesn't move. I was sitting on the stone steps, folding a length of cloth in my lap. Nothing more was needed from me. This is how most afternoons feel. Someone scolds a goat, someone drops a fig, a mother tells her child to sit still. You learn in that place how ordinary the sacred can sound, and how quietly it can come and go, unnoticed. The old woman didn't look at anyone. She just pressed her thin hands to the coins, breathed out gently, and let them go. No one greeted her. She did not expect it. I don't know if she was praying. Her eyes stayed low, set on the space between her hands, set on the way the light glinted up where the stone was worn smooth. Afterwards, she walked away as if she had only left behind what was already gone. I watched the open door beyond the courtyard, still and square. I waited for something else to happen, anything, a sign, a shift. But there was only the stillness, slow as honey. Birds hopped along the dusty ledge, picking at nothing. The shadows reached across the stairs, quiet and certain. No one cheered and the world did not notice, but for a moment it was as if all the air was breathing in with her. No rush, no excitement. The presence felt thick, invisible, holding us, not an interruption, more like a quiet resting hand. The coins settled at the bottom of the empty box, and the sound faded into the stones, and the stones held it. I stayed still for a while longer until I could feel my own shoulders soften, my own breath slowing down into the rhythm of the temple floor. The afternoon crept past, careful on silent feet. People came and went, voices low, their concerns unchanged. Nobody said anything about what had happened. That moment was gone, unmarked, folded under every other small piece of the day. But still I remember the hush. That feeling that something saw her, saw all of us. Not a word, not a lesson, just steady company as real as dusk. There are years that pass like this. Days when you bring whatever you have as quiet as you can and hand it over and no one claps and you keep breathing and the sun keeps moving. But somehow in all that soft ignoring you feel held, lifted, without being draw attention to. Like maybe there is someone everywhere filling the quiet, never needing to be named, only present. The silence lingers in the stone, long after everyone has gone. Let this moment stretch, and let your heart settle into it, the ordinary hush that carries sacredness, even when nobody else sees. Even the silence is holy. The night listens with you. The light was already changing when the first lamp was touched. Sunlight thinned and stretched itself across the stones, pulling each step and arch into longer, softer shapes. I watched from the edge, folding yesterday's linen in my lap, and I let the sleepy weight of the evening settle in. A few feet away, someone lit the first lamp. It was the boy who sat near the treasury, his hands careful, breathing held. The flame trembled, then held steady, then shrank back just a little, like it was waiting. It picked up the lines carved in the stone, turned them golden, and faded them at the edges, over and over, in a loop of gentle changes. It was nothing really, just a lamp, and yet in the hush you noticed. One by one other lamps were kindled. Each flame found its oil, its cotton wick, its tiny world. Sometimes the spark would falter. Sometimes it would rise quick and shy like it didn't want to be watched. There was no hurry, there never was. The courtyard shaped itself around these small bits of light, one at a time. I remember how the widow sat beside the worn pillar closest to the court. Her shawl was bunched up, gathered neat beneath her chin. She watched the way the glow touched stone, how everything old and uneven seemed gentler, softer now. The cracks in the temple steps faded into gray. The shadows flowed wide, and only the edges of things were made clear. She didn't move except to pull her knees in closer. I think sometimes she closed her eyes, or maybe she only looked down at her folded hands. Either way, it was still. If she prayed, it was the sort of prayer too quiet for words. The courtyard didn't ask anything of her in that moment. The lamps just flickered and settled. I could hear the careful sweep of a broom nearby, its straw twisting dust in the golden light. Someone coughed on the other side of a row of columns. The oil lamps shimmered, ripple after ripple, their warmth barely enough to notice if you stood too far away. But when you were close in the hush, you felt it. Not heat, really. Just a sense that something bright and safe had come in quietly and chosen to stay for a while. Every lamp carried a story, most simple, quiet stories. One for the men who measured out frankincense at dawn, another for the woman humming over a pot near the far steps, stirring beans and watching the light gather in the curve of her bowl. Each person played their part alongside the lamps, making small motions, tidying, sharing bread, collecting empty baskets. None of it was for show. Each task felt like breathing, the rhythm of a day giving way, one gentle light at a time. The stone underfoot turned less sharp as the sun disappeared. There were fewer voices then. Most days, I think, we don't notice when the world grows softer. We think it happens all at once, sun gone, night here. But it's not like that. The change comes in flickers. Oil catching wick, gold sliding over the ground, the hush widening bit by bit. If you listened, the lamps made a tiny sound as they burned, almost nothing, more of a feeling than a noise. The kind you sense through your chest, gentle and slow, reminding you to breathe long and deep. I let myself listen to that sound, the quiet pulse of light, the gentle invitation. Even the busiest men with full arms pause to watch it sometimes, if only for a second. The widow watched too. Her face changed in the low glow, lines deeper, eyes bright and heavy. She smoothed her knees and let her shoulders drop, as if she could let go. I thought maybe she was counting her breaths now, or the number of lights blooming across the court, or the way every shadow held less fear with each lamp left burning. Oil lamps have a way of making everything ordinary holy. You see only what is close, and that is enough. There could have been someone important passing by, one of the elders or a merchant with heavy bags, but no one called out. In the soft circle of lamplight, it felt like there was nothing you needed to do, no performance, just sitting, just breathing, letting God be present in the nothing much of evening chores. Another lamp was lit, and then another, weaving a quiet gold seam between the pillars and around the outer walls. I traced their path with my eyes, letting my mind settle into the pattern. Every lamp a small kindness, every shadow touched, every heart a little less hidden. Above, the sky thickened from blue to violet. The first stars began to peek through, far away but still there. The air was cool now. The linen on my lap grew heavier as the stones faded to gray. Someone laughed, low and soft, nothing sharp. There's a certain safety to knowing that the night comes every day, and it always brings this reaching for light. Small rituals, familiar motions. Every lamp another way of saying that darkness never wins, not truly, not when you keep lighting what is small and steady. The widow stood, finally, pulling her shawl closer. She stepped into the pattern of lamps, her sandals quiet against the worn path. I watched her become part of the hush, letting herself be gathered in by the calm. Each flame marked her steps, not as spotlights, but as little pauses, resting points along her slow walk home. There were more lamps than you'd notice at a glance, some behind columns, some along the wall, some left burning for no one in particular. Each told the same story. Night falls, but the light remains, even in corners where no one stands. Even for those with nothing but 2 coins and a little hope left to offer, even for those who bring nothing at all. The evening took shape by itself, soft and undemanding. The widow passed beneath the last lamp near the southern gate. She paused just long enough to let herself be warmed, just long enough to know she was seen. I folded the linen one last time. The golden hush lingered. Let this moment stretch, I thought, even as the lamps flickered on and the night closed in, slow and gentle. Every breath belonged. Every silence was holy. The Lord watched quietly from the edges of the light, and that was enough. She steps out past the broad stone gate, away from the crowded voices and slow flicker of temple walls. Her hands are empty now, no coins left to hold, just the sound of sandals on dust growing softer as she finds a place to rest her tired feet. A low stone ledge waits nearby. It's cool from the day, rough beneath her fingers but steady. She lets herself settle slowly, shifting her weight, listening to the quiet that follows after giving. The hills around the city blur into dusk, shadows slipping between the alleys and the olive trees. Night breathes on the back of her neck, a gentle coolness. She pulls her shawl closer and sighs. Lanterns drift above the walkway. Their light is quiet, not bright. Each swings a little in the night air, barely moving, just enough to notice. She counts their soft gold shapes from her seat, one then another, swinging back, then forward, never hurrying. Voices have faded, only the faintest laughter curling up from somewhere far. A father and his son perhaps making their way home. She listens, but lets the sounds pass through her as if through cloth. She folds her hands in her lap, palms resting, nothing left to carry. The ache in her feet is familiar. Today was not heavier than any other. Her breathing stretches out, slow and even, almost matching the still sway of lanterns overhead. A patch of moonlight finds her, sliding across the worn step. It makes even broken stones look gentle. She shifts again, just enough to feel it on her ankles. Someone sweeps in the far courtyard, the slow bristle of straw and grit along flagstone. Each scrape is steady, unhurried, like a lullaby for the ground itself. For a while she just sits. She doesn't worry who might see, doesn't think about time. She lets her eyelids fall half closed, not quite sleeping, letting moments droop out, soft and loose. Every breath cools her a little more. She listens for God's voice in the ordinary, a distant dog, a breeze pushing at a fig leaf, footsteps hidden behind stone. Her coins are gone, but she is still here, not waiting for anything, not missing anything, only sharing the night with Jerusalem and its lanterns. The air smells like old bread and warm oil cooling in the kitchens nearby. Somewhere, a lantern flickers out. The dark grows a little wider. She doesn't move. She just keeps watching, letting her mind wander, letting her tiredness be enough for tonight. Outside, the courtyard is empty now. Just a sweep of shadows, soft at the edges, where day used to be. Cloth hangs from a window, folding in the breeze. The coins are long gone, tucked away in the wooden box. But she remembers the sound they made, such a small sound, but it still echoes inside her like a slow bell. She walks the short way home, sandals in dust. No one speaks. The stars are already blinking, scattered above the tiled roofs. She slips behind the doorway into the hush. Her feet remember the stones and the steps. No one is watching. She yawns quietly and pulls the blanket around her shoulders. It smells faintly of sun and crushed herbs. Tonight is for resting. The world outside does not rush. The night air is cool against her skin. Beside her, a clay cup waits for the morning. She lets her breath out slow and long, slow and long. She lies down, pulling the cover close. Everything is smaller in the dark except the sky. It feels big, gentle, patient. She closes her eyes and hears only her own breath and the memory of coin against wood. That soft clink, God heard it, she thinks. Maybe that is enough. She does not pray for much, just a whisper toward the ceiling, or perhaps only to her own tired heart. Keep me tonight. Let me rest. And then quiet, one by one, almost like she's counting them for sleep, she lets the words find her. I am safe in this stillness. God remembers me. I do not have to be strong. The night is holy. I am seen. There is enough. Peace is close. She listens to the silence between each line, not rushing, just breathing, letting the slow rhythm settle her bones. Grace covers me. The Lord is here. Nothing left to do, just rest. Her hands are empty. Her worries lie at her feet. The stars blink above the roof. Somewhere another cup is filled. Another lamp is trimmed. Tonight she lets herself be small, held in the dark, eyes closed. The wind above the house, the sound of God moving slow, almost nothing at all. Amen, amen, amen. Nothing more is needed. The world is quiet. Eyes drift shut like petals closing for night. Even the prayers come slower now, softer, trailing off with her breath. Stillness holds me. I belong. Peace goes with me into sleep. Resting, she lets the night have her. The hush in the air, the gentle hands of God, the soft, unhurried promise. All is well, all is well, all is well.